This is NBA Talk. I'm Erik Torenberg, joined by special guest Dan Barto, head of player development at IMG Academy. Along with my co-host, Reuben Torenberg. Let's dive in.
Embiid's a dirty player, man. I think that was a dirty play. Did you not think that was a dirty play? He injured Mitchell Robinson.
Well, to my understanding, he wasn't injured on that play, right? He got injured on that jump shot that Embiid took shortly after.
It's hard to say. I don't know. I haven't talked to the doctor.
All my Knicks fans say that it was a very dirty play. It certainly wasn't a pretty play. Embiid doesn't have much to go on there, but it's a very physical game. It's like the hack-a-shack thing. He's getting his ass beat every play. They're hacking the shit out of him. There's no supporting what he did. It's not a good look. What's up, Dan?
What's happening?
We're debating whether I'm basically complaining about Embiid and wondering if he should have been ejected.
Ooh, I thought that he probably deserved it. Anybody else probably would have been thrown out, but I don't think that you can do that in that game.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, at the same time, I'm slightly sympathetic. I think we did get some gimmies in game 2. I'm okay that game 3 kind of evens out a little bit.
Yeah, you just don't want the referees to determine
the game deciding on that. Yeah, I get that. Let's start by getting into the Knicks Sixers series. Dan, what are your impressions so far, or what are you watching as we look at the remainder of the series?
I really want to see, if the Knicks can get back in transition and find Embiid a little bit earlier. It just seemed that, with some of their shot selection and some of the amount that Brunson is pounding the ball, like, you have to know that Embiid's going to touch it. So just like early in the, even the Pacers picked up Dame faster in game 2 than they did in game 1. And I think you have to make it a priority. Like, okay, if we're going to lose, it's going to be because Embiid scores 32 and Nick Batum scores 30, not because I just was never a believer that you can let someone score 50 on you. At some point, you're playing your backup center and you're fouling the guy on purpose. But they need Hartenstein offensively, but he just gets lost in transition, and Embiid just kind of licks his chops and knows exactly where to flow in and catch the ball. And I think this is crazy, but I think the knee injury might also be helping his shooting. I think that, the fact that he's not trying to get off the ground and he's not trying to shoot quick and he's playing with like a slower pace, that his feet are really digging into the ground and he's controlling that energy up through his legs. And the ball actually seems to be spinning better than it normally does for him as well. I mean, the guy scored, I think it was only one other guy in the NBA ever scored that many points on that few of shots, scored 50 points on that few of shots. Yeah. Like, that means you're shooting an unbelievable rate.
What do you think about the officiating in that game? He shot 21 free throws.
But he knows how to use his body, and I didn't think that those guys, they didn't do a great job of taking a charge early. And, I was actually listening to somebody else earlier today, and they were like, Embiid getting his third foul and them letting him play through it in the second quarter slowed him down. Like, he knew he couldn't play fast. He knew that he had to really gather himself. He couldn't afford an offensive foul. And that's what looked like happened. Like, him being forced into the corner after his minor meltdowns early forced him to play at a pace that nobody could do anything about it. And same thing with Anthony Davis in the Lakers series. Like, when those guys slow down and the team makes it a point to run offense through them, there's nothing you can do.
And we'll get to the Lakers in a minute. Josh Hart is playing phenomenally. He's shooting, way better than he shot in the regular season from 3. I hope he can keep something like it up. It was great to see Brunson back in form on game 3. DiVincenzo off night. We had the offense going. If we could have just played much better D, they were really hunting Brunson and making us pay in that third quarter. I think they were 17 for 22 from the field. So I have to assume that their shooting is going to go down. And the question is, can we manufacture enough offense to really make it happen? But it's not obvious to me that we'll win Game 4. I don't even know if we'll be the favorite to win it. So I think they're two close teams. So doesn't change my prediction.
Would you do something differently if you were the Knicks, or would you just say, okay, there's no way Embiid gets 50? I mean, Thibodeau is a coach, so he's not just going to go out there and lose the same way. But at the same time, what adjustment do you make? Is it offense or is it defense?
So Sixers have this defensive move where they just keep Embiid in the paint, basically, or they don't play him on the pick and rolls. They kind of, I forget what the term is called, but they bring some other defender to play whoever the pick and roll is. And I wonder if we do something similar for Brunson, where we just can't have Brunson on Maxey. And so do we just find a way to hide Brunson and rotate someone else over? Is there a term for what I'm describing, Dan?
Well, they're zoning him up in the drop coverage. So instead of him trying to even get back to the guy because of the injury and because it's plugging the paint, you at least reduce the likelihood that you're going to get those deep paint touch kick threes. Even the threes that the Knicks did get and the threes that Hart got, they were off of multiple rotations. The ball was really snapping around. And I don't think the Knicks are at their best when they have to pass that much. I think they're at their best when Brunson gets in the paint and scans the court and fires it to the guy who wants, to shoot the next shot.
And he finally got to where he wanted to go. I mean, shot a pretty good percentage. I think he took 27 shots. Still a lot of shots, but he dropped 39.
He's so good. He's so good.
He's so good. He's so good. If I'm the Sixers, I'm pretty excited about that win. Not only obviously because Embiid dropped 50, but the role guys really didn't do a lot. Batum was quiet. Hield was quiet. Harris was still pretty quiet. It was pretty much just Maxey and Embiid. So I think Game 4.
To your point, Dan, I get scared about Batum getting open looks, but I'll give Tobias open looks. I'll give Kelly Oubre open looks, maybe even Lowry some.
Well,
I'd probably make our other guys.
You would hope that the centers for the Knicks just take it personal a little bit too. Like if they don't, I mean, you can go down. If both guys foul out with 5 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, you can live with the loss. I don't think you can live with another, 90-point combined Maxey and Embiid night. But the Philadelphia crowd, you have to also give the Philadelphia crowd showed up. So that's what this is all about. It makes it so fun.
Yeah, that was great series. Jericho Sims, he has not played, but he's our enforcer. he can come in.
Hey, look, I'm all for it. I said it too. We're talking about the Suns, but I mean, it's playoff basketball. You have to do it. I mean, people are doing it in high school basketball games. They're going in and hard fouling people and setting illegal screens on the other team's best players. You can't be afraid of it. Maybe if Embiid doesn't try to tweak the leg in the first quarter, maybe Philadelphia just rolls over.
Yeah, Embiid is out here kneeing Hartenstein's groin and pulling Mitchell Robinson down and putting his ass in OG. I know it was pretty crazy. It doesn't change my predictions for the overall series, though. Yeah, and after every series, let's also say if our predictions have been changed. Let's go to the Cavs Magic.
Well, hold on. Dan, has your prediction changed on Knicks Sixers?
No, I think I'm sticking with Thibodeau. I think he'll make at least one adjustment that makes a difference. And by the time Philadelphia probably gets one more game, but the Knicks move on and get some much-needed rest.
I think I picked Knicks in 7, right, Erik?
I can't remember.
I picked Knicks in 7. Sticking with my Knicks in 7.
Amazing. Amazing. Let's get to the Cavs Magic. Big win for the Magic last night. Are we still thinking our same prediction, or how are we reflecting on the games played so far, and what are we thinking going forward? Dan, your take?
Last night was fun. I mean, it's what the Magic are capable of. Cleveland's bench did not show up at all. LeVert threw in some baskets in the second half, but the Cavs had a chance to keep it close. They shot poorly, and they gave up, I think it was 13 offensive rebound, or 13 points off of offensive rebounds in the first half. And the Magic, it's their home shooting floor. But when the Magic shoot the ball better, they get back defensively. Once they set their box, once they have their matchups, that's been their bread and butter all year. And Mosley made adjustments. He didn't start Isaac. He moved some pieces around. And again, I think the Magic, if you look at their roster, it's a lot of guys that are historically winners. So I didn't think they were going to roll over. On the flip side, in the first pod, I talked about a little bit of what Cleveland would need to do. And if you watched, there were times when Donovan Mitchell just kind of tried to dribble through the whole defense, and he got into that high paint area, and then he couldn't find Allen, or he couldn't find anybody but Morrell, really. And Darius Garland, I think, was under 40% below the free throw line. Like, if they're going to be in a standoff with the Magic, those two have to make better plays when the play breaks down. I was disappointed with their all-star level ability and how little they actually made plays when they needed to try to make a little bit of a run.
Right. We talked about the floaters for Garland and Mitchell. I think Garland was 2 for 10 yesterday. I don't know if we're attributing that to just a bad game or some great defense by Suggs.
I think too, they're, those guys are smaller. So when Magic play big and they get their arms out, Garland, he could force step backs all day long, but that's not, Cleveland does share the ball. Unfortunately, when they play the two bigs and when their bench is not making shots, then sharing the ball is kind of pointless.
Yeah.
So I mean, I'm not coming off the Magic winning the series. I think they'll physically wear Cleveland down, and I think Cleveland has a combustibility factor with the 2 stars and the 2 non-scoring bigs. But I would expect Jared Allen. Jared Allen will bounce back, but I just never. I don't know if Mobley has it.
Wow, Reuben, do you think Magic will win the next 3?
I think Magic will win the next 1. There was a quote after the game. I think Paolo Banchero was talking about how people don't realize the importance of home court and how when you miss a shot, you hear the from the crowd, and when you make it, you hear just absolute jubilance, and it fills you with energy when you'd otherwise be tired. And especially for a young team, I think home court matters significantly more. They don't have home court in this series. I think they win the next one. They bring it 2-2. They end up going down 3-2, losing game 5, and then win the next 2 and win it in 7. So my initial pick was Magic in 6. Now I'm going Magic in 7.
That's going to be tough. I still think Cleveland in 6, but maybe it'll get to 7 actually. But hey, who knows? Maybe Magic will just wear him down, as Dan says. Let's transition to the Pacers Bucks, of which I would be remiss to say that I don't have in the background. There's 2 minutes left. It's a tie game in game 3, and so do we still think Pacers? I think we all picked Pacers except
except for me. I picked the Bucks in 7. Everyone else picked the Pacers.
Dan, are you surprised by anything you've seen so far?
No, I think Indiana made the adjustments that they needed to make. I think they're, I said in the chat, like Andre Jackson playing more minutes, I think gave them some more versatility tonight when I was watching. Middleton's a gamer. Dame started slow and bounced back. So if you want to keep updating us on the game, I don't have it on right where I'm at right now. But me either. I think the Pacers, the Pacers said, okay, like you're going to pick up Halliburton, we're going to pick up Dame, and we're basically going to play 4-on-4 in a lot of this transition stuff. So other guys are going to have to make plays. And in game, the Pacers are just a little bit better in that kind of up and down with their decision making and shot making and cutting. I mean, they are one of the best cutting teams in the NBA. So you just see some of these actions where the ball moves and then someone cuts or someone cuts and then they drive off their backside and it's an uncontested layup. And it just seems like the Bucks continue to make only contested shots. So I'm sticking with the Pacers because, if Giannis comes back, then on our next pod, I'll probably be changing my answer. But for right now, I'm sticking to they're just using him as to keep DraftKings at bay.
There hasn't been any news there, right? On his.
They said he's doing non-contact workouts.
Okay. I still like the Pacers reluctantly. I feel like they're like, if I'm the Knicks, I prefer to play the Pacers over the Bucks. I feel like the Bucks are. Maybe this is such a cheap thing to say, or maybe it's inaccurate, but I feel like they're just more a winning team or winning player. I feel like the Pacers are underachieving relative to what they have in Siakam and Halliburton and their depth. But maybe they'll prove, or maybe I'm just still mad that Halliburton owned Wally Szczerbiak so thoroughly. But for something, I just don't see him as a winner in the same way that I see Brunson or maybe even Lillard. But maybe that's just inaccurate.
I mean, he's proved people wrong since college, so he needs the respect there. But I think it's a nice balance with McConnell. I took some jabs at him in the last game, but it's and I think that it's a good. I don't think Halliburton would be as good, or McConnell would be as good if they weren't counterbalancing each other. Yeah. And I also, I think we've seen some really good Miles Turner. And we didn't know if that was going to be the case. We didn't know if that was going to be the case after they got Siakam. We knew Siakam's playoff experience, playoff bread and butter, but I think that Turner kind of likes that third fiddle instead of second fiddle.
Yep,
he's been great. Siakam's been great too, and McConnell's been amazing. The man's been a revelation. His mid-range, that driver turnaround mid-range is just. It's one of the most unstoppable move in the playoffs.
I feel like if him and Brunson played one-on-one, they would run like 46 miles in a game of 7.
They really would. He's doing it for all the small white point guards who couldn't make it to the league.
What's the score?
Yeah. It's tie game, 1 minute left. And Patrick Beverley is bear hugging what's his name? Halliburton because he can't get the ball. Yeah. Let's transition to the Celtics Heat. Do the Heat have a chance in this series, or is that chance greater than 10%?
No. But it was great to see him get a win anyway.
I mean, 10%. I would put it at higher than 10%, not to 30%. And the only reason I say that is they probably have one more hot shooting game in them, and they have the ability to get healthy. If you watched a majority of the game, just like I said with the Magic, when they make threes, they set their defensive box, they get their help into the elbows, they get they have guys in the paint constantly disrupting what is going on with the Celtics drives. And again, the Celtics are going to shoot their threes, and then when they make them, it's tough because you can't match their shot making ability. But when they can set their defense and they can close out hard on them and force them to put the ball on the floor, it just looked like there was a brick wall there the other night. It literally did, and they looked frazzled as they tried to get into their step backs or get into their hesitation. Low crossover, I'm going to draw a foul. The Heat were just too disciplined. And it just becomes now, if they don't make threes in the first half, what are the Heat going to do? And I mean, that astronomical number they made the other night is just probably not going to happen. But if they steal one and Jimmy Buckets comes back after, 3 weeks of doing whatever he's been, a week of doing whatever he's been doing to get healthy, he could be Superman.
One player I wanted to highlight, who we didn't really talk about probably all season, Eric, was Nikola Jovic. He looks good. He looks fast. And he's tall and athletic. He's only 20 years old. They got some good young players.
It looks like they broke him, if that makes sense. Like, it looks like Spo and the rest of the team. He didn't play a ton of games early. Everybody knew he was a little bit flamboyant, but very, very skilled. And he's the perfect complement to Bam's isolation game. Same way. He can shoot, he can cut, he can run in transition, he puts it on the floor. But like all of these European guys, he has such a high basketball IQ for anticipating where the ball is going to go next and getting himself ready to score. You could really see him confidently doing that now. And I think earlier in the year, he was very hesitant. He was like the freshman, playing with all the seniors, and now he knows he belongs.
Yeah. Nice to see a big Caleb Martin game. Would love to see him have another breakout playoffs. I would love to see the Heat beat the Celtics, because then I see a path for the Knicks. Need some miracle games from people who haven't.
What time's the game
been
tomorrow?
Tomorrow it is at 3 o'clock. 3 o'clock PST.
So the crowd probably gets there about 4:15, right? So the Heat will be at a little bit of a disadvantage in the first half.
Yeah. Let's segue to the Western Conference. Let's do the most disappointing one first: the Lakers and the Nuggets. Reuben, what were you watching last night? After I saw the Lakers get out to a 8-0 lead or something, and then I look up and it's not looking that great. Reuben's parading the Lakers hat.
It hurt. I think as you're watching the game, Lakers get out to an early lead. Every time they have a chance to break it to double digits, or, Nuggets finally don't convert on a wide open opportunity, which they're able to generate pretty much every play, Lakers just weren't able to create any separation. And I think the whole game, you felt that you knew that the Nuggets were going to come back. By midway through the third quarter, I think myself and every other Laker fan knew that their spirit was broken. It just, as you're watching the Nuggets, you can't help but think to yourself, how the heck don't they ever mess up? Aaron Gordon just bullied everyone on the court. I think they just don't have the right matchup for him. And even if they did, they're able to create so many switches through just a Jokic handoff or a back cut or an off-ball screen where Jokic finds you. And if you double the person coming off the screen, the screener just becomes open and Jokic finds you. I think just the ball movement contagiousness of Jokic being on the court makes it impossible. And especially once you got to the fourth quarter, the Lakers were just throwing up prayers out there. They stopped moving the ball. It was ugly. It hurt.
Reeves brought a little bit of a pop, and obviously Russell's been a zero. But I think that the Michael Porter performance opened things up more in the second half as well for everything that Gordon got. It's not like they were like running isolation plays to him. It was just playing basketball and making basketball plays and being stronger and more physical than the guys he was getting switched on to, or they were a little bit late getting there, and they believed him. That's what's amazing is, they just kept throwing him the ball. What do you get? 29 points. Like, that means you're passing him the ball. But I think Porter, there was no one to help off of after Porter kind of got going as well.
And now you take away the first time, you don't give him a clear look as screening. Then what happens is once you land, you now got to be up with both hands.
Let's watch this last 7 seconds.
Whatever area he's looking at to pass.
So let's see who inbounds it. It'll be Patrick Beverly.
Right, Patrick Beverly in the game.
Tyrese Halliburton will be defending.
Good question.
AJ Green.
Splitting Beverly in half.
They'd be better off with Doc in the game.
Middleton was open. It'll go to Lopez. Middleton got to look for three. Got it!
Oh my God! Holy shit.
In Indianapolis, Middleton drains it to knot it at 101.
I mean,
Cash money.
Wow.
Middleton on
Let's go. He's clutch, man.
1.4 to go.
That was an excellent continuation. They had nothing as they go over here right
like
now.
Nothing.
And it was
Nembhard
just beautiful.
come up.
They continued their movement. They continued
Nem's
their
soft.
area. But right there, the
I
switch
feel like
was
Nembhard
late.
and,
Switch was late
Nesmith,
coming on the
I just
man
don't
with the
feel
ball.
like it doesn't. If they're in your
Chris
starting
Middleton,
lineup, I don't think they're making the NBA.
Who was somewhat
They're good,
questionable
They'd
fitness
be like good bench
wise
players. Like
coming into the
elite bench
game
players.
today, raised up and just
Am I wrong,
drilled
Dan?
that.
Sorry, I
So
can't
no
hear
ill
him.
effects of that sprained ankle that he's been dealing with.
Yeah, turn it off.
You can leave it
So now
on.
with 1.4 to go, the Pacers still with an
That screw up your volume. Oh,
Let me lower the volume. Okay, I think I just 1 second. Lower the volume.
I mean, how are you not double teaming him? I mean, again, I guess it's a Lopez handoff, so you can't leave Lopez either. But I'm taking Middleton should not touch the ball.
Are you going to trap?
Here we go. Miles Turner. Miles Turner's the hero.
looks like Andrew Nembhard is setting up to be the inbound passer. Halliburton is setting up
What's
in
the
the
play here?
backcourt. Sometimes you'll
It's
see
got to be Siakam, no?
run an action where the guy gets downhill.
Well,
The
main thing,
Bucks can't let Siakam touch it.
that's a great move. Just some. Oh, now they're switching back to
Switch it.
Beverly.
You think it's a
We'll
lob
see it.
to Turner, or where does
He'll
Turner
look
catch
past
it?
Beverly or
Figure
look
out where
over
it's
him.
at. Where are they bringing it in?
1.4 to go. They got to make their move quickly.
Yeah, this will just look like a screen to screener.
Nembhard into Siakam, turns, fires,
That got.
and we'll play 5 more minutes here in Indianapolis.
I like what
Got
they
it
did.
to him. Good job, Carlisle. Carlisle got him the ball. A little further pry away from the basket than he wanted. But
Dan, question for you. Eric had mentioned Nembhard and Nesmith, saying if they are in your starting lineup, you're not going to be a great team. Would you consider
not
those two
You're not going to make the NBA Finals.
You're not going to make the NBA.
I think that,
Okay.
that
That's
as
a
an
different statement.
as an organization, they're probably not ready to beat the Celtics 3 years in a row in the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, can something happen and they steal it 1 year? But yeah, those guys are not going to be. I think when they traded for Siakam, they knew that got them closer, gets their fans closer. They probably make a move. I've talked about this a couple times. It's kind of like my private passion, but this owner's in his 80s. So you stay a little bit competitive and you sell that thing for $4 billion and your grandkids don't have to work. So you spend the money. It's not easy for them to get stars, so they'll overpay Siakam, and they'll probably find an upgrade from them. I think Naismith is a legit, just like we said about Caleb Martin. Naismith was not good tonight, but I think that Naismith is a legit winner and somebody that can be your 6th, 7th, 8th man. You're not going to. I mean, TJ McConnell and Nembhard don't have 3 more years of being able to do it. I mean, at some point you probably have to get longer. And they have a great developmental philosophy, and they, I didn't mention it much in the last one, but they have an IMG kid, Jarris Walker, who I would put, in a category of somebody that could really be an impact over the next 2 or 3 years. Just high competitive character, won his whole life, figuring out how to use his body, better with space, tore it up in the G League. So again, that's 2 years from now, he's probably an upgrade, maybe over Obi Toppin and maybe over Naismith. And if they do one other guy like that and they make a trade, or somebody, wants to come and play for less money so they don't go into that second tax threshold, it is a basketball city.
Yeah.
Eric, are you glad the Knicks got rid of Obi Toppin?
I miss Obi Toppin. but yeah, basically. I mean, we weren't going to pay him, so I don't know. He was a solid backup for us. Who's our backup now? I guess Bogdanovic. Josh Hart obviously is incredible. I like the energy Toppin brings, but I don't think too much about him. I definitely miss Quickly, much more than I miss Toppin. And I am glad we got rid of RJ Barrett though.
Barrett and Randall and Toppin last year. I mean, they're just same way. Like that's just my turn. Put my head down. And Toppin, God bless him, he can't play at a slower pace. Like this pace he's playing at is perfect for him. Most of the stuff he got in New York was in transition and off of rolls and Spain screens. It wasn't like he was breaking his guy down in the mid post and getting and ones too often. But I do think that I think that as you look at Barrett moving, like how nice would it be to have Quickly to guard Maxey right now? Sorry to bring back the Knicks.
It'd be incredible. They're doppelgangers. Yeah, it'd be amazing. I do like McBride. I am happy that McBride has stepped up, but it'd be nice to have another guard who can give. We don't need Brunson.
Has he played a lot in this series? Has McBride played a lot?
Yeah, I mean it was a huge first game,
right? And
20 minutes, something like that. So it's great with Josh Hart playing almost 48 minutes every game. But yeah,
we were tearing down the Lakers was where we left off.
Yes. Yeah. So is this a sweep?
It's a sweep. I have to change my take.
They're not going to win in 7. I'd love to see them win a game. Well, I guess, we'll discuss what Lakers should do next season once they lose.
The only thing Lakers are winning is bingo at Cancun.
I will be interested to see what they do. He played the bench a little bit more, and those guys took some more shots. I think it helped, but again, both AD and LeBron looked a little bit gassed. And there was a couple times in the fourth quarter where everybody literally just got out of Jokic's way, and you're just not going to win games when people. I mean, just put them on the floor once, just one time.
Yeah,
agreed.
The Mavs Clippers. That's looking like a good series. And any change in predictions, or what are we looking at going forward? Daniel.
The Kawhi thing, I think, threw a little bit of a monkey wrench in their offensive flow. Luka and Kyrie seemed like they were angry and were not going to be taken lightly on either end of the floor with the referees in the timeouts. Looked like they raised the level of accountability and not desire to win, but they were as locked in as I'd seen them. And again, the Lakers. The Clippers, it becomes cat and mouse. Jason Kidd, I don't think anybody saw him playing those bigs in the fourth quarter. Like, I don't think when you went to your lineup card, you saw Maxi Kleber and PJ Washington finishing the game. And I'd said it last time, Kidd takes risks. He swings for the fences. And Ty Lue's a tactician. So he'll probably have an answer if they try to do that again. And I don't think that Luka and Kyrie can take the physicality of the Clippers. Like the Clippers will knock those guys to the ground. Like I think Westbrook and Harden, who's playing for a contract, like there's a lot of motivations that the Clippers have. But if they get down early and you can't play Zubac, they're just not as good when they have to play small or Plumlee has to be on the floor for an extended amount of time.
Reuben?
I picked Mavs in 7. Mavs has been my finals pick. Mavs is still my finals pick.
Wow.
I agreed. I didn't expect to see Kleber and Washington out there, and they looked awesome. And apparently their plus-minus with those two on the floor is really, really good. Gafford got played off the floor. We didn't see too much Lively. I was a little bit surprised about that. I think just the general length and athleticism of the Mavs will bother the Clips as the games get more physical and the Clips just get more and more tired, especially later in the series. And I don't even think we've seen the best of Doncic yet in this series. I think he missed at least 2 or 3 wide open threes that he usually makes in each half of both games. So I'm excited to see what happens tonight, but I've still got the Mavs in 7. I'm sticking with that pick.
I had Clippers either in 6 or 7. I'm still sticking with the Clippers. Frack said whoever wins this series will make it to the finals. I think that is possible. I think these are 2 of the 3 or 4 best teams. So yeah, it's a great series. But I do think just Clippers are deeper, and I think they'll wear on the Mavs. Let's get to in this series. It would have been maybe nice to have Grant Williams. I feel like Grant Williams is a gamer, is a tough physical player, good playoff player.
Where's he?
We'll
he's
how the Mavs,
out for the year, or he's up?
He got traded to Charlotte.
Right,
Charlotte.
Yeah,
it's part of the PJ Washington trade.
They swapped him out.
Yeah.
He's a head case, man. He's a head case.
But he's the one that you want on your team. Let's transition to the Thunder and the Pelicans. Pelicans got maybe a bit closer to the first game than we thought. I mean, they almost had it, but looks like this one might just be a sweep. The Thunder just feel like a better team across the board. Do either of you think differently, or anything else worth noting?
They have to. I mean, the Pelicans have to. If they can control the pace a little bit, I think they can make some of these games interesting at home. The Thunder's bench isn't a shot mate. I mean, they can't create their own shot necessarily. Like, they play off of the other guys, and their rotations of how Dagnall plays guys is impressive, so that they don't really have to overdo it. And the Pelicans have physicality. It's just, do you leave Vacilunas on the floor, right? Or do you try to play a little bit smaller with your best defensive unit? If you look at New Orleans' bench box score, it's not going to be that bad again. Like I kind of said about the Magic after the last game. Like, those guys are going to make some shots. And I think they're going to beat the Thunder? No. Do I think the Thunder's youth is going to help them keep the crowd in the game and even maybe send it to 6? Yes. And I wouldn't have said that. I didn't say that the other night. I just think. Yeah. I don't know. I think I have some respect for Willie Green, and I think that when I saw how poorly their bench played, and then knowing that they kind of went with their normal lineups, he's going to change something just like the Magic did. It's just, is it enough to slow down the Thunder pace, and will it coincide with the Thunder bench going a little bit cold?
I think home court is going to play a major role in this series, similar to how it has been in Cavs Magic. 2 young teams. I think the bench players for New Orleans definitely looked out of sorts in Game 2. I think they're going to play a whole lot better in Game 3. I think Jose Alvarado is an awesome player, and every time he steps on the court, he makes a big difference. Do we have any word on whether Zion is going to come back?
I'm not aware.
I don't think I don't know what the update is, but again, they're keeping the ace in the hole if they are. What's our score update?
Unlikely to return. The score update is, I'm going to put it in a second. Pacers are up 3 with 15 seconds left.
We couldn't have timed this any better.
Exactly. Yeah.
Let me do it. I've got YouTube TV.
Oh, you got it?
Let me share it.
Sounds good. Oh, I don't know how to let you share it. Sorry. Or does it not let you share it?
I got it. You guys see this? Can you guys see my screen?
Yes. Wait, is it working? Because I can share mine.
It's working.
Holy shit.
You want sound?
Wait, hold on. Let me share my because mine is a little bit behind. Do you want to see? Oh no. Well, so Bucks just hit it. Pacers were up 3.
Who made the shot?
And Bucks just
hit one.
I'm watching it right now.
A staggered screen about 3 or 4
Holy shit! It's
steps
Middleton again.
away from the top of the circle.
Oh my! He banged.
And they got what they wanted.
Doc Rivers drew up a great one there.
So give the coaching staff
You guys can see this,
right? And then Middleton has been absolutely amazing.
Middleton.
Well, it's officially
It's
after
good to see
hours,
that because he's been so hurt for a while.
The banks are closed. He did it on the Cash App. Chris Middleton
a Middleton
again.
miracle.
So let's see what the Pacers do here with 6.7. It'll be Nembhard to inbound again.
That's right.
Turner, Nesmith, Siakam, and Halliburton, the 5 on the floor. It was Nesmith that hit the corner 3 to put them up 3 on their last offensive possession.
This could be a lob.
They just switch people here.
Yeah, Rex Kalamian runs that Bucks defense, pointed it out. Halliburton takes it in the backcourt. 6 seconds to go. Crosses over on Beverly. Flow game for the win! Tyrese! The terror!
Wow. And one. What a cross.
Who was that? Who did he cross there? Middleton or
Beverly.
I mean, they hit turbo button.
Now, how about this for a replay? Throw it in the backcourt. Now, Milwaukee changed their defensive guys. They matched up. Everything worked except for one thing. You just saw a magical move.
That was electric.
Player. Taking that ball in the backcourt.
Okay, Caitlin Clark.
Getting it up, all right, in incredible time, and then avoiding the defense. 2 moves and hits the shot.
Looking so poised along the way, Hubie.
Now, how about the coaching staff having
Yes, I think he should miss it.
Of confidence
You agree?
in your point guard, all right? And then he delivered. Not only did he get it up there, but he got a good look.
And the lead now is up to 3. Doc Rivers
In Europe, they would have missed.
burns his final timeout. And we're going to stay right here with
If they miss it, can you still
what a shot by
catch it,
Tyrese
call a
Halliburton.
timeout, and get it at half?
You told me a little bit earlier this evening. You said, Mark, I know it's the playoffs. I know people talk about how tough and physical it is, but I'm able to make the adjustment, and he made the requisite adjustments there.
Wow.
While we're waiting, let me start on the Suns Wolves just because I have to go in a few minutes. The Suns, I would love to see them win the next 2. It's like I just can't see them get swept or lose. So I don't know if I'm rooting with my heart here, but I think they'll win at least 1, maybe 2. I feel like they've really struggled, but they just have so much firepower that I think they start to get hot. And where's Booker this series? Not having a breakout game either game. I feel like he's such a gamer. I feel like it's their backs are against the wall and they're going to respond. Do you guys feel similarly, or what do you think about that?
Dan?
I do think they'll respond. It's just, why does this have to be the situation for you to respond? I know the Timberwolves shrink the court and they make it really difficult, and they
Shall we pause for 1 second?
Sure, you do not allow the passer to see where to throw the ball.
1.6
It's got to go to Middleton, right?
Middleton for 3, and that's it. He couldn't squeeze it off.
Still got it off.
The heroic Herculean.
Wow.
That's so good for the Pacers. That's
All
so
right.
awesome.
I'll
for
stop
the Pacer
sharing.
Fans.
Yeah, stop sharing. Yeah, great game.
There's gonna be
series.
mayhem on Broad Ripple tonight.
Yeah, totally.
For sure.
Here's my point. Here's my problem
Suns-
with the Suns is, Bradley Beal, Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. Like, why do you have to be embarrassed to fight? And that's you. It's not Vogel. Like, you have to have more pride to say, okay, we're not going to let this guy make his 6'3", or we're not going to, take another hesitation step back with a 6'8" defender who has 7'2" wingspan closing out on us. Like, you have to recognize the matchups better when you have 3-star players there. They're trying to play their offensive game against a very unique defense. Instead of saying, okay, where's the weaknesses in the defense? Where's the weaknesses in the defenders, in McDaniels and Nickel Alexander? And, like, where's the weaknesses? Let's get there. Okay, let's give them some bait so they take the bait, and that's how we're going to score. And they were stubborn and tried to say, okay, we're all-stars, and it backfired. So, again, this week with the 2 games, it's going to be like the other home court advantages. Like Phoenix, the crowd will be ready to go, and that will hopefully tie the series. But this is probably the series that I now regret the most reflecting. Not because it's 2-0, but because I didn't think that the Timberwolves young kids would have the fire that they came out with.
Yeah. I got to change my pick here. I got T-Wolves in 6 now. I think that McDaniels is just a really tough matchup for all 3 of those dudes, and whoever he gets switched on ends up trying to go at him. And they're just taking, to Dan's point, they're just taking really tough, difficult shots, and the ball is getting, put into Nurkic's hands, and he's looking like Blazers Nurkic, just garbage. I think he spends more time complaining after every call than getting back on defense. And, it happened at least 3 or 4 times in each game. And in the playoffs, every single play matters. I think the T-Wolves are just a better team.
And I know the finances, I know they couldn't make it work, but like if they had DeAndre Ayton, this series would be a lot different. Does that make sense? Like when they made all these moves, this is their worst case scenario. Just like a great shooting Miami is the Celtics' worst case scenario, and the Pacers are the Bucks' worst case scenario. It kind of worked out that people are biting their tongue a little bit with the way that they built their rosters.
And then Nuggets are the Lakers' worst case scenario
up for the 4th time, but clearly. What's the guy's name? Rob Pelinka is tanking the valuation of the Lakers.
Yeah.
Bless you.
Bless you.
Hey, you. I'm going to ask a tough question. Who are the 4 worst coaches in the playoffs right now? I'm going to give my quick. Jason Kidd, Frank Vogel, which maybe Willie Green, is that too harsh? I mean, the coaches are pretty good who are still remaining. And maybe Doc Rivers, though maybe that's unfair too. I don't really know how to evaluate coaches in the same way that Dan probably does. Dan, what are your picks?
Well, I would have had to see the Knicks practice today to put Thibodeau in there. If they had a 3-hour practice, then I would move Thibodeau to number 1. They probably didn't, so I'll leave him off the list. But I do think that, Jason Kidd would be my number 1, just based upon how many teams he's already played for and his playing career and how many coaches he got fired. It's just hard for me to root for the guy, even though I know he is a basketball genius to some degree. I believe it was 6 head coaches that he had for 1 year or less when he was a player. Like that just shows you something. I do think that, Willie Green has had a tough job. If they go 0-2, he would be tied for first. If they get swept, he would be tied because with the personnel that they have, even without Zion, they should not go winless in that series. My third, I don't blame Darvin Ham. He didn't put the roster together, but he did choose to play LeBron and those guys to start the 4th quarter, not rest them while Jokic was resting. He chose to not play the bench much in the first 2 games. I don't know if those were direct orders. And literally 2 out of 3 games, are you going to let D'Angelo Russell burn you again? If they promised you that you're coming back, that's great. But it's basketball 101 when a guy has literally shooting under 10% in 2 of your 3 games. You got to cut his minutes. Those are that's at 3 or 4. That's 3, yeah. And you can't. Doc Rivers just drew up 2 great plays to get Chris Middleton threes and competing without the league MVP. So I'm gonna go with Nick Nurse for using Embiid too much last game, and maybe wearing him down for the rest of the series.
I've been really impressed with Nick.
I don't disagree with that take, actually.
Really?
Yeah, I think he's a great coach all in all. I think he did a great job with the Raptors. I like his offensive ideas, but I think he's overplaying Embiid right now. Even if you win this series, I mean, yeah. I think my 4 worst would go number 1, Darvin Ham. I think that he just doesn't have it. I think that the sets he draws aren't great. I think that the substitution patterns he uses aren't great. I think he's overplaying LeBron and AD. They're tired. They've been tired in all 3 fourth quarters, even though LeBron played amazing in the second game, fourth quarter. And AD was great in game 3 through 3 quarters. Number 2, I'd go JB Bickerstaff. I just also don't think that he has it. I think he's got a great team and is trying to force the double big lineup instead of staggering them more or using creative ways to maximize specifically Mobley. And maybe Mobley just doesn't have it. But yeah, I would have loved to see, more of the Strus, Sam Merrill coming off screens, creating space that way for Jared Allen to play better. Number 3, I would probably go. I wouldn't go Doc. I agree. I think those were 2 great sets, and I think Carlisle's great too. Probably go Vogel. I think he's just not incentivizing those 3 guys to play their best, or hasn't convinced them to buy in. Instead, they're just all trying to play one-on-one. And then for the 4th, probably go. I guess I'd go Tibbs too. I wanted to see him go a little bit deeper into the bench, stagger the minutes. I don't know why he's playing Josh Hart 48. Josh Hart's good, but I think that series is insanely physical, and they've got 10 really physical dudes. I was hoping to see Jericho Sims on Embiid. I was hoping to see them rough up Embiid a little more instead of just letting him drop 50 in their face.
And it's such an interesting – it's a great question, Eric, and the reason I say that is because how much of this is really in the coach's control? We don't really know. I think it's interesting when you look at the DNA of the different coaches. You have some basketball centric guys. You have some journeyman NBA players that have worked their way up, and you have some superstars. You have some guys that won some championships, and you have guys that are here for the first time. So I think I always kind of liked the journeyman aspect for balancing the roster, but only if they have a little bit of say in the roster. You have to be able to get rid of the guys that are bad. If you're a journeyman guy, Darvin Ham or Willie Green, or not Ty Lue, he wasn't necessarily a journeyman. He was a starter for a long time. But you have to, and I think they gave Ty Lue, you have to be able to say, I know, I've been there. These guys are sucking, they're energy vampires. They're sucking the life out of our winning culture. And I don't think the Lakers did that. I don't think Phoenix did that. And I don't know the logistics of, the Pelicans situation. But JB Bickerstaff, to me, Reuben, didn't make that roster. You're coming off the bench with Morrell, Max Strus, and Georges Nat. That's tough. How many hands can you win if those are your cards in playoff basketball? He might actually be the best magician if they come back and win the series. And if he doesn't, then he's going to be like, well, Donovan Mitchell's going to ask out, and I'm going to ride this for 4 or 5 more years because, in the they could get better getting rid of Donovan Mitchell. I know that sounds crazy, but they could acquire a semi-star and 2 athletic two-way players and be a better team.
It's a fair point. We can't categorize these coaches. Yeah, we can't categorize the coaches without knowing what they're allowed to do and what they're not. These cards have been placed in front of them without them.
We talk about it all the time. I'd love to see their like Briggs-Myers scores too. Like just like what level of personality deficiencies do some of these guys actually have when people do make suggestions in tense times?
I'd give him Dante DiVincenzo and Bogdanovich for Donovan
in a heartbeat.
As much as I'm just kidding. As much as I don't want, and maybe a couple picks. I don't want to blow up the.
So we could do Randall, DiVincenzo, and who for Donovan Mitchell and Evan Mobley, Bogdanovich. So we have Bogdanovich. I don't know if the money works, but we have Bogdanovich, Dante DiVincenzo, and Randall for Donovan Mitchell, Mobley, and somebody else. We'll have to run the numbers on that one, but that could be good for both. We could have a Knicks Cavs Eastern Conference Finals next year because Porzingis will definitely.
I would take it. I suspect we'd have to throw in a pick or two. My sense is they probably really value Mobley highly, but I would even do it throwing in a pick or two. I mean,
the thing people blast Mobley on is he's a quick jumper and a dunker and he does all this stuff. His offense has improved, but just again, he's not a quick finisher. And you now need those Hartenstein finishes and those Draymond finishes and different things. And it just I don't think he's played to his pick position so far. The statistics maybe are there, but I think he gets a lot of stuff that is recipient scoring or against second units.
Yeah. The Cavs should be a lot better than they are, I think. They should be the team that's actually contending with the Celtics, but they haven't put it together. Partly for the reasons that you indicate. Let's wrap on that. It's been another episode of NBA Talk, and we'll see some good series, and we'll be back here next Friday. Dan, Reuben, thank you.
Thank you both. Have a good weekend.